Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zai Jama, and I am proudly representing my beautiful land, Somalia. I was born and raised in Somalia. I grew up as a refugee, fleeing my country due to climate issues and conflict. As a child, my childhood consisted of my family and I riding on camels, searching for safety and a home. But every place we found was destroyed. And luckily, our family got accepted and we found opportunity in the UK. And that's where I pursued my education. And my family and I were able to rebuild our life. Today, I would love to share the mission that brought me to Miss World. I'm the founder of the Female Initiative Foundation, a project born from one of the most darkest moments of my life. I stand here today not just as a voice for the voiceless, but as a survivor of female genital mutilation. I speak for the millions of girls whose voices were silenced before they ever had the chance to live freely. I know what it feels like to have your rights taken away, to feel powerless and to be told that your voice doesn't matter. And I know there's a lot of people in the world who don't know what female genital mutilation is. And so I think it's really important that I raise awareness and I educate, and that was my main purpose at Miss World, was to teach people what female genital mutilation is. And I'd love to share with you guys the procedure that's done. I know that it's something that can be very uncomfortable, but I believe that it's something that the world needs to hear and needs to know. And I will explain to you this at first hand. I was 7 years old. I was outside playing with my friends when I was picked up. My clothes were ripped off, and I was taken to a room where 3 women waited with blades, scissors, and all tools. These women were not doctors, nor were they medically trained, just tradition passed down through generations. They cut off my clitoris, the part of my body meant for womanhood. They then sliced away the inner labia and the outer labia. I remember I screamed in pain because during the procedure there's no anesthesia used, no comfort, only blood and loud silence. I remember crying and begging, but the woman told me to be quiet, to be brave, and to be proud, as that was part of our tradition. Once the cutting was done, my skin was stitched back together with thick thread or thorn, leaving only a tiny part of hole, barely enough for urine or blood to pass through. This process is called infibulation and is one of the most severe forms of FGM. After the procedure, I was laid in a dark room with my legs tightly tied together. After the procedure, I was laid in a dark room with my legs tightly together for days. And I remember I was in a room and I was bleeding every day. I had no toys, I had nothing. I only had charcoal next to me, and I used to draw on the wall next to me, and I'd just draw my dreams away just to keep me alive, because that part after the procedure is where a lot of girls die and they don't make it out alive. That moment changed me forever, and my childhood came to an end. I survived, but many of girls didn't, and they don't. I stand here today for the joy that my mother couldn't reap her love. For generations, our mothers, our grandmothers, and the women before them endured this pain in silence. They were taught that suffering is part of being a woman and that this is normal, but it's not normal. It's not okay, and it's not part of our destiny. I know that I cannot change my past, but I can fight for their future. And I know the consequences that come with that. But I get so many messages from little girls from my country telling me that they're going to be getting female genital mutilation done soon. "98% of women in Somalia have undergone female genital mutilation." 98% is a very big number, and that 2% are just the infants that have not reached the age to be cut yet. That's a whole nation of women in my country. And through my foundation, I bring awareness, I go into community and I do public speaking. I teach mothers that that tradition should never come at the cost of a child's body or soul. We can honor our traditions without having to harm our little daughters. I also created a sisterhood of survivors back home in the UK. Most of them my closest friends. We cry together, we heal together, but most importantly, we use our voices. We fight as we believe that our voices can protect the next generation. I want to protect all the young girls from blades that should never touch them. No little girl should go from playing outside to bleeding in a dark room. And the crown that I wear as Miss Somalia doesn't just represent beauty, but to me it represents responsibility, it represents truth. And I wear it for Fortune, I wear it for Deqa. Fortune and Deqa, both full of life and dreams, whose family I interviewed. Both of them bled to death from this same horror. Their hearts stopped beating because somebody thought that tradition was way more important than their lives. Their bodies couldn't survive what mine barely did. And so, no matter what the consequences is, I'll continue to keep fighting until I see change and until I see the world talk about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Somalia. I think all the ladies are standing for you. There you are, if you can see.
Ladies, we just heard something that I think to all of us and to every guy here, every girl, every mother, every grandmother, we have heard a voice which has to be listened to. We've heard a voice that needs to be listened to by grandmothers, by mothers in your country, and we need to hopefully and carefully and kindly explain to those people in your country that it's wrong. There is no right. It's wrong. And what has been believed in the past, like many, many people have different customs, you have to eventually stop and think that custom is wrong. And there is no shame in being wrong. The shame is not to put it right. So we will all stand together and we will make it something that we explain to women, not make them feel bad because they believe that was the right thing to do. You don't do anything by telling people they were bad. They didn't understand. Now we must make them understand by everybody coming together to save other young girls from the same torture and cruelty which was thought to be the right way. Thank you for your bravery. And I don't know where this is going. I never get involved in politics, but this isn't politics. This is a social denigration, cruelty, and totally unacceptable, unnecessary thing to do to any female, little girl. Little girls don't choose. Now grandma must learn the new way of life. There is no excuse that's because we did it, you have to have it done. So we've got to put that right. We must all do it together, okay? So you can explain this.
Thank you very much.